Before you judge this story, answer one question. If you had complete control over your school tomorrow, would you actually make it better? Everyone thinks they're smarter than the people in charge, until they become the person in charge. This story proves why. Okay, so real quick, before anything else, I need you to close your eyes for just a second and picture every single person you call a friend right now. Your ride or die, your group chat people, the one you text at 2 a.m., the one who laughs at everything you say even when it is not funny, the one who shows up when things get bad. All of them. Got them? Good. Now here comes the question nobody asked for, but everybody needs to hear. What if you had to pick just one of them? One. For your entire life. Not until next year. Not until college ends. Not until college gets complicated. Your whole life. One person. That is it. Everyone else gets erased from the friendship category permanently. They still exist. They still walk around. You can see them at the grocery store. You just cannot call them your friend ever again. Yeah, that feeling you just felt in your chest, that little panic, that is exactly where this video lives, for real bro here, where we say what no one else will. And before you think this is just some hypothetical thought experiment to waste your afternoon, let me tell you something. This question reveals something about your current friendships that is going to make you deeply uncomfortable, because the moment you have to choose one person for life, everything you thought you knew about your social life starts looking a little different. Shh, stay with me. It gets worse before it gets better. Part 1. The moment the lishits gets comfortable, so you have your one person in mind. Maybe it came to you instantly. Maybe you're still scrolling through names in your head and already feeling guilty about it. Classic human behavior, by the way. You're feeling guilty about a completely imaginary scenario that will never happen. That is how much we care about not hurting people's feelings even inside our own brain. But here is the thing. The fact that this question is hard is already telling you something. Because if your friendships were built the way you always assumed they were, the choice would be obvious. There would be one person who just exists on a completely different level than everyone else. The person who has actually seen you fall apart. The person who knows the story behind the story. The person you do not perform for. Most people do not have that person. And that is the uncomfortable part. What most people have is a collection of situational friendships. The work friend who is amazing at work and completely different outside of it. The school friend who made perfect sense in that environment and now you see each other twice a year and spend the whole time pretending nothing changed. The friend you only hang out with when your other plans fall through. Nobody talks about this. Nobody wants to admit that most of their social life is built on convenience and proximity rather than actual genuine connection. And now you have to pick one for life. Suddenly that group chat of 14 people does not feel like what you thought it was. Here is the first twist though. The person you are leaning toward right now, that instinct tells you something real. That snap reaction before the guilt kicked in. Before you started overthinking who would be offended, before your brain started being diplomatic. That first name that showed up, pay attention to that, because things are about to become much bigger than you expected. Part 2. The beautiful nightmare of having just one. Okay, let us imagine you made the choice. You picked your person, and honestly, for the first few weeks it would probably feel amazing. Like finally, all that emotional energy you spent maintaining 17 different friendships, planning group dinners that never happen, sending birthday messages to people you have not actually spoken to in years, all of that just gone. You are free. One person. Clean and simple. You would actually invest in this one relationship in a way you never did before. You would know everything about them. Their family drama, their childhood stuff, their weird habits, their dreams they are too embarrassed to say out loud. And they would know all of yours. You would build this incredibly deep, incredibly real connection that most people never experience because they are too busy spreading themselves thin across 100 surface-level relationships. Sounds incredible, right? A best friend who is actually your best friend and not just the person you ranked highest in a never-ending social competition? Here is where it starts to get complicated though. And this is the part nobody sees coming. One person cannot be everything. Your one friend cannot be your adventure buddy, and your quiet night in person, and your career advice giver, and your emotional support system, and your workout partner, and your travel companion, and the person who gets your dark humor, and the person who does not judge you for crying at animated movies. That is not a friend, that is a therapist, a life coach, a personal trainer, a travel agent, and a stand-up comedian all wrapped into one human being. And that human being has their own life, their own problems, their own bad days, their own seasons where they have nothing left to give. The thing that is supposedly helping you, the simplicity of one pure friendship, might also be slowly suffocating both of you. The relationship would start to feel like a job, like pressure. Like if you have a bad week, there is nowhere else to go. No backup, no breathing room, just this one person carrying the full weight of your entire social existence. The thing helping you may also be hurting you. Part 3. The version of you that never gets healed. Now this is the part that actually kept me up thinking about this. Because there is a version of you that exists because of different friendships. Not in spite of them. Because of them. The friend who was obsessed with hiking dragged you up a mountain you never would have climbed alone. And something clicked up there. The friend who read constantly made you feel slightly embarrassed about how little you read, and you picked up a book and it changed something. The friend who was painfully honest, told you something about yourself that hurt in the moment, and then turned out to be the most useful thing anyone ever said to you. You are walking around right now with pieces of a dozen different people living inside your personality. That weird hobby you have, that phrase you always say, that album you are obsessed with, that career decision that actually worked out, trace it back far enough and you will find a person behind it. With one friend for life, that stops. You stop getting exposed to things that are outside your current worldview. You stop getting challenged by people who see life completely differently. You stop expanding, and you do not even notice it happening because you are too busy appreciating how deep your one friendship is. You think you chose depth. You accidentally chose a ceiling, and here's the uncomfortable realization underneath that. If your one person stops growing, you stop growing with them. If they get stuck, you have nowhere else to pull from. You are now both orbiting each other in a closed loop, two people reinforcing each other's existing beliefs, existing habits, existing blind spots. Forever. Part 4. The part where you realize you are lady doing this. Okay, here's the moment where this stops being hypothetical, because I need to tell you something slightly uncomfortable about how real friendships actually work in real life. Most people already have a version of this problem, not because someone forced them to choose one friend, because life quietly did it for them. You graduate, you move, you get busy, you get into a relationship, you start a new job, and slowly, without any dramatic event, the list of people you actually talk to gets smaller and smaller. And most people just let it happen. They tell themselves they are just bad at keeping in touch. They tell themselves everyone is busy. They tell themselves they will catch up properly soon, meaning never. And then one day you are sitting somewhere and you realize you have not made a new friend in 4 years. Not a real one. Not the kind where you know their whole situation. And the friendships you have, the ones that survived, have gotten comfortable in a way that has slowly started to feel like stagnation. You stopped being interesting to each other because you stopped doing interesting things separately. You ran out of new things to report back. The friendship turned into a routine. A comfortable, warm, slightly boring routine that you maintain because the alternative, being alone, feels worse. Congratulations. You kind of already chose one friend. You just did not get to pick which one. And now for the biggest contradiction of all. The friendships that meant the most to you, the ones that shaped you the most, the ones you would point to as genuinely life-changing, were almost never the ones that lasted the longest. They were the ones that happened at exactly the right time. The friend you had for 2 years during the hardest period of your life. The person you met on a trip. The friendship that burned fast and bright and then ended, not because anything went wrong, but because life moved you in different directions. There is one final truth nobody saw coming. Part 5. The real answer nobody asked for. Alright, here is where everything turns. The reason this question is so hard is not because choosing one friend is actually difficult. It is because it forces you to confront what you actually want from friendship in the first place. And most people have never thought about that clearly enough, because here is the theory that changes everything. Friendship was never meant to be permanent. That is not a depressing observation. That is actually the most freeing thing you will hear today. The idea that a good friendship must last forever is the same logic as saying a good meal must last forever. It is not about duration. It is about what it was when it was happening. The friend who was there during that chapter, the one who walked through that specific fire with you, that friendship did exactly what it was supposed to do. The fact that you both ended up in different places is not a failure of the friendship. It is the friendship completing its purpose. What if the obsession with keeping friends forever is actually what stops you from fully appreciating the friend you have right now? Think about the friend from the beginning of this video. The one you almost picked. The reason you almost picked them is because they were exactly right for who you were in that moment. Not because they were the perfect human being. Because they were the perfect person for the chapter you were in. And here's the callback that makes all of this land. Remember that panic you felt at the beginning when I asked you to pick just one? That was not the fear of losing people. It was the fear of being wrong about who matters most. It was the fear of realizing that some of the people you are loyal to out of habit are not actually the people you would choose if you were being completely honest. One friend for life forces you to be honest in a way that normal social life never does. Normal social life lets you keep everyone at a comfortable distance. It lets you call 17 people your friends and have 0 of them actually know you, which is somehow more lonely than having nobody. The real answer to the question is this. You do not actually want one friend for life. What you want is one feeling. The feeling of being fully known and fully accepted by at least one person at every stage of your life. Sometimes that will be the same person for decades. Sometimes it will be someone completely new. And the people who are happiest socially are not the ones with the most friends, or even the ones with the longest friendships. They are the ones who are honest enough with themselves to recognize who is actually their person right now and brave enough to fully invest in that relationship, instead of spreading thin across a crowd of comfortable acquaintances. Damn, that changes everything. And look, if you already have that one person right now, the one you thought of at the very beginning of this video before the guilt kicked in, maybe stop waiting for the right moment to tell them what they actually mean to you. Because you are not going to. You're going to send them a meme instead and tell yourself that counts. So drop in the comments and tell me honestly. If you had to pick one person right now, just one, are you even sure they know how much they matter? And if the answer is no, tell me why you are still sitting here watching YouTube instead of fixing that. Also, if you are one of those people who kept saying I cannot choose just one, that means something. Figure out what. And if you want more conversations that make you uncomfortable in a way that is oddly helpful, well, the subscribe button is right there. Not that you would actually use it. You will think about it. Close the app, reopen it 15 minutes later for no reason, and end up on a cooking video. We both know how this goes. For real, bro.